First of all, welcome from CHP Australia. This is probably the, I don't know, 5th or 6th event this year on webinars. So stay tuned for other upcoming ones. There's one coming soon on how to optimize your relationship between client and agency. So kind of relevant to today's as well, or tangent to today's, but have a look at that. And there will be others. I'd like to introduce our speaker, Amaury Treguer from Red Havas. So welcome, Amaury.
Thank you.
Amaury is in sunny Bondi Beach. So Amaury has done a session with us previously, and due to popular demand, he's back. And given the huge, I guess, impact the social media has and the effort that agencies and clients are putting into it, we've had a lot of requests to do some sessions like today. Now, Amaury has had over 15 years experience, both on agency and client side, which is great, in the comms and marketing arenas, and across not only healthcare, but a variety of other industries as well. A couple of, I guess, other notes. He is a CHP Diamond Award judge this year. So thanks, Amaury. It's a big effort. We look forward to how those results pan out. A couple of little known facts about Amaury. Check out his morning blog. He gets up at 6 a.m. and goes to Bondi Beach and does great photos every morning. And it's called Morning Bondi. So check that out. And I just learned this morning that he was also interviewed by SBS about their the New South Wales vaccine campaign a while ago on the French station. So lots of interesting stuff. So without further ado, thank you, Amaury, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. Thanks to everyone for attending today's session. So we've got an hour and a half. As Brenda was saying, the idea is very much that I do a bit of talking, and then at the end we do that Q&A session. I'm not going to reintroduce myself, but yeah, as Brenda was saying, so my name is Amaury. Everyone calls me Amo because I think no one can say my name properly, even though I've been here in Australia for 12 years. But I've been working in the social and digital space for the last 9 years, which I love to say it's like, 63 in social media years, as it's obviously kind of, such a fast-paced environment with new platforms, new algorithms, and new features popping up every day. So it's always a very exciting space to be in. So I'm currently heading the social department at Red. Previously to that, I was heading the strategy at a department at We Are Social, so a pure player in the social space. And yeah, over the years, I've had a chance to work with a wide range of clients in the B2B and B2C space. And as you will see on screen here, a snapshot of some of them. I guess the last 2 rows are probably the most interesting for you guys, very much like kind of healthcare and pharma. And I think it's like there's even more than this, but like that's pretty much the type of work that I've been doing. And as Brenda was saying, like, I run that page called Morning Bondi, wake up every day at 5:30, check the sunrise, exercise with friends, and take photos and post this on my blog and websites and Instagram. Actually, this morning was epic. So I don't know if you've seen that sunrise, but that was pretty amazing. All right, so now in terms of agenda, so we are going to go through, first of all, digital facts and myth. I always love to start with this because it pre-frames a bit the rest of the sessions. How to win at social is very much kind of that process that I go through when working on a social and digital strategy. So, you start with the research and insights to unearth kind of, obviously, and get, research to unearth the insights, then the social strategy, then the content best practice. We'll be looking at the platform ecosystem in a nutshell, if you like, amplification as well, so from an organic and paid, and then finally measurement and evaluations. And then, as I said, we'll finish with a Q&A, so you can ask any questions. So first of all, let's go through these facts and myths. Again, it will pre-frame whatever I'm going to cover after, but again, feel free to ask any question at the end. So attention is a currency, don't waste it. As I love to say, we live in the age of infobesity. Right now, in the last 30 years, we've produced more information than in the previous 5,000. But our attention spans is down to 8 seconds and it's still falling. It's actually worse than the goldfish. A goldfish is 9 seconds, which is kind of, which is incredible. There are like 4.6 billion pieces of content that are produced daily. And by content pieces, I mean like, an Instagram post, a tweet, a video, a webinar, a white paper, an email, a podcast. So obviously, kind of, we all suffer from that information overload, like you are probably going to experience today as well with my own presentations. So getting people's attention is the challenge that marketers are facing every day. So that means that every single message needs to be clear, concise, and well targeted. And that's the beauty of social media. Social media is free. Wrong. Social media is expensive. Organic reach is pretty much dead. It's, if you are lucky, only 1 to 3 to 5% max of your Facebook fan base or your Instagram fan base will actually see your content organically. So unfortunately, all those platforms are pretty much becoming pay-to-pay platforms. So unless you have a paid media budget, you can forget about it. Like, there's no point in thinking that organic is still a thing. So if you want to appear in the newsfeed of those people, you basically need to promote all the contents that you put out there. So again, something to keep in the back of your mind. If you don't have paid media budgets, kind of no point in creating a new social channel. Renting social is good, but owning is even better. So as I said, social platforms are pretty much becoming media channels. They are changing the algorithm every single day, and they want you to pay as advertisers. They want you to pay more and more. So today, you better use the power of Facebook, Instagram, and the various social channels, Twitter, or even LinkedIn advertising to drive to something that you own. And by something that you own, I mean, like, it could be your website, your blog, your micro hub of content, whatever you call it, anything that is not subject to all those algorithms. So very much something that you own. So again, use social media channels, use paid advertising, use SEO and SEM to literally drive traffic to those platforms. Number of likes and followers are important. Wrong. Who gives a damn about the number of fans that you have? Like, today, it makes no sense whatsoever to build that, to grow that fan base, because ultimately you are going to pay to reach them anyway. So instead, what I suggest to anyone, any of our clients, is build that email database. This is by far the most valuable assets for your company. You can then, reach those guys by email, by telephones. You can use, retarget them using social advertising. And again, I'm going to cover this towards the end of the sessions. But again, build this email database before any follow counts. Those vanity metrics are what they are, and I understand the critical mass, especially when your board of directors are kind of, a bit older and don't necessarily get it. But realistically, it makes no sense. So just capitalize on your email database instead. Content marketing automatically drives sales. Unfortunately, guys, it's not automatic. You need to be patient. It's not as simple as like, you create content, people click, they buy, and then you make money. It's like way more complicated than this. Obviously, it's like looking at long term. So it's like you create content, people click. If they like, they remember you. Maybe if you create more content, they will visit again. And then you start building that trust. So when they're finally in the market to buy your products or buy kind of, in that industry, then they will probably get to your websites and end up buying that product. As I love to say, it's like the same as dating. You don't enter a bar and kiss a girl straight away, unless you are French. That's a very different story. But there's always that seduction moments when you enter a bar, you see this beautiful woman at the end of the bar, start to have a chat. You might have a first date, a second date, a third date, and then you might score. You see, exact same thing. By the way, I'm married, so like I shouldn't say this too loud because my wife is just next door. But that's very much like what it is about. It's very much that long term. And what is it called? The Australian Content Marketing Institute actually recommends that the golden rule is like choose one content type, one main platforms, be consistent for a long period of time, and then you will finally achieve success. Again, very important to think this. So always think long-term, especially in the content space or even the social space. Finally, last stats. I know it sounds very obvious, but think mobile first. So only a few people will actually see your desktop website. Nearly 80% of social media time is spent on mobile devices. So again, think about everything that you do, the length of your article, the scrolling experience, the video length, or even the data usage. Especially if you are targeting a younger audience, you always need to be very mindful of this, because those guys don't want you to kind of, don't want to watch a video that will take all their data for the month if it's not relevant. And that's why they want to hang out next to, Westfields and McDonald's to be able to get that Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi. Anyway, that's the end of the first section. Now, what I'm going to cover, as I said, it's very much about that process that I'm going through when creating that social strategies and digital strategies for clients. And it's very much like years of knowledge and years of intel in terms of how I do it. But what I wanted to share with you first, and I hope you've not watched it yet, or if you did, that's great. It's a video called The Golden Circle by Simon Sinek. So let's watch this now.
All those great leaders and all those great organizations, everything from Martin Luther King to Apple Computers, it doesn't matter. Big companies, small companies in every single industry. All those that command great loyalty. People, loyalty is a feeling. Loyalty is a feeling, a human feeling. All those that command loyalty from employees and from customers and from investors. Every single one of them, regardless of their industry, thinks, acts, and communicates the exact same way, and it's the complete opposite to everybody else. All I did was write it down. And it's probably the world's simplest idea. I call it the golden circle. It's a bullseye. In the middle is the word why. The center ring is the word how. And the outside ring is the word what. It's this little idea that distinguishes those that survive those 3 years. And more importantly, it's this little idea that is able to inspire people to join you in your pursuit. Every single organization on the planet knows what they do. You know the products you sell and the services you offer. Some organizations know how they do what they do. These are the things that we think make us special or better or stand out from our competition. But not very many organizations can clearly state why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit, that's a result. By why, I don't mean to have an exit strategy. By why, I mean what's your purpose, what's your cause, what's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Why did you get out of bed this morning? And why should anyone care? As a result, the way we think, the way we act, the way we communicate is from the outside in. We tell people what we do, we tell them how we do it, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, support, a vote, working hard. But all the inspired leaders, those with the capacity to inspire, every single one of them, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, thinks, acts, and communicates from the inside out. They all start with why. I use Apple very frequently because they're easy to understand and we all get it. If Apple were like everyone else, a piece of communication from them would sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? That's normal. Here's our new technology company. We have these features and that features, and we're better than our competition in this way. We're simpler and have a better user interface. Choose us. This is normal. Here's our law firm. We have all the best lawyers. We went to all the best schools. We win all of our cases. Choose us. This is the norm. But all the inspiring leaders and all the inspiring organizations do it differently. This is how Apple actually does it. They start here. Everything we do, they say, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? It feels different. You want to join me in this pursuit, not because my computers are better, but because you believe what I believe.
So again, I think the outcome of this video is very much kind of, without knowing the why of your business, it's obviously going to be very hard to justify why people should follow you or why should they even buy from you. So again, very important to kind of get a clear purpose for your business. And again, like, trust me, if you are very clear about like kind of what that business stands for and what you and what is your purpose, then everything afterwards will be much simpler. So if you don't have it, crack it, because that's very much going to be what we are going to cover in the next few sections as well. And then the key to success really in marketing overall and social and digital is very much to find that sweet spot where the cupcake is between kind of, you know, what we want to communicate as a business or brand and what people are interested in and want to talk about. And again, it's like, you know, the first one is like that from that side is very much based on the business and communications objective. And on the other side, like kind of what the audience and conversations insights, and the other side is what the audience and conversation insights as well. So again, it's all about creating that value exchange between those two. And in order to kind of get to that value exchange, it is very important to kind of understand human behaviors, and it is very important to have that planning methodology. So what I'm going to cover here is very much that very standard way of looking at planning, which is you start with research, unearth those insights, get to the strategy, and then to the creative part. It is a very standard methodology, and again, like in every single social business, they might get to the same kind of, you know, methodology. But what I'm going to do is now deconstruct that part. So the first one is research and insight. So there are four key research areas. There's the general, there's the earn, the owns, and then the search. So from a general point of view, those are the key questions that you need to ask yourself, or you need an answer, which is obviously kind of, you know, what is your audience? Do you have any insights about that audience? What is the customer journey for your category? What are the latest trends in your category? What's going to kind of shape the future of your category? And then what is the wider cultural context? On the right-hand side, you see here like some of the tools that we use. So the one above the bar are obviously kind of, you know, free to use, and the ones underneath are paid. And it's sometimes like very expensive license. But again, you know, you can always subscribe to their newsletter. They always publish some good stuff. And again, the idea for that general thing is like not only looking online, it's also going in supermarkets, hanging out at, you know, like retailers, you know, pharmacies, kind of get a good feel for what the audience is doing when they are just right next to your products as well. And, you know, that's where the answers are. It's not necessarily only online. And that's something that rare the brands are doing this, where obviously kind of, you know, field studies are sometimes way more impactful than any other online studies. There's Census. I don't know if you know this, but Census is publishing that social media reports, you know, with 1,000, I think is like they survey 1,000 Australians as well as SMBs and large businesses about their usage, their social networking usage, social media, usage. So again, like there are so many amazing tools that you can use. From an earn point of view, that's where you are looking at, you know, like who is talking about your brand and category, what are they talking about, where are those conversations happening, you know, what is the general sentiment as well when, you know, like people are mentioning your brand or your products or even your competitor products, and who are the key influencers and advocates. And for this, there are a lot of tools, you know, like the likes of Answer the Public, BuzzSumo that I'm going to share with you now. Again, reviews website, product reviews, Trustpilot, Yotpo, all those websites and all those review sites are amazing because it gives you a very good understanding of what people are talking about and how they value your products. Upfluence is very much more for the influencers. There's Upfluence, there's Clear, there are others. The Upfluence here, the free version is an extension on Chrome where you can see an audience of influencers, so you get a better understanding of like who is following that specific influencer. So strongly encourage you to install this. It's free, but then they also pay. We've got the license for the paid version that gives way more features. And then Brand Watch, which is a tool that we use as well at Red. Quite expensive, but like we are able to tap into what's going on online across pretty much everything except the platforms with closed API. So what I wanted to show you here is a free tool called BuzzSumo. I don't know if you've heard of BuzzSumo, but BuzzSumo gives you the most shared article about a specific topic or brands. So that gives you obviously a very good indications of what are people keen to engage with. In this example, I put Alka-Seltzer, and that's I think there's like in the attendance there's Alex and Rod from Bayer. And I put that just as a test, just to see what was going on. And what you can see here is the most engaged articles about Alka-Seltzer is actually their mocktails. I had no idea it was a thing, but it is a thing. And this is where you receive the majority of engagement. So you've got on Facebook, 1,000 engagements. Like you had a few Twitter reshares. On Pinterest, it's definitely a thing, 3.5. People have been sharing those recipes, those mocktails recipes. So again, very important to look at what's going on and how can you fuel the internet, or how you can fuel the content with more of what the audience is ready to engage with. And you can do this for your own brand, but you can do this for every single of your competitors. You can do this about the category. You can do this about pretty much anything. Then from an own point of view, so this is very much about like your own channels. You're looking at, what is the profile of your followers? What is the level of engagement, compared to your competitors? And you always want to really measure yourself per 1,000 fans, because that's where you would compare apple for apple. What are the drivers of engagement? So the best and worst, performing content for you, as well as for your key competitors. Any interesting campaigns that you've seen from your competitors that you could learn from. So again, just don't underestimate what you can see in your own analytics, but what you can also tap into what's going on for your competitor sets. And for this, obviously using Facebook Insights, Twitter Analytics, LinkedIn Analytics, Google Analytics. Fan page karma is an interesting one, similar to social bakers. They very much help you get to that competitors audits. You've got a free version that I tend to use a fair bit, especially when I pitch new businesses for new business, but Fan Page Karma is definitely a good platform. And then you've got also like more paid version like Iconosquare, which is very much specialized for all things Instagram, as well as Demographics Pros that covers also Twitter and other tools. But what I wanted to show you, that's usually why I talk about Morning Bondi, is just because it's a great case study. So if you've got a social presence, obviously you will know that you've got an access to your insights. And I think it is very important to kind of look at those insights over time, because again, as I said earlier today, is the social changes every single day. So what works last month will probably not work this month. Now Facebook, Instagram wants to become a video platforms, and that's literally been dropped like kind of, I think 2 or 3 months ago. So now everything that they are doing is pushing the algorithm to favor videos instead of stills. Again, you need to know this as well as looking at what's performing and what's not in your own analytics. But where you see here is like, I can see who is coming, where are the Morning Bondi fans coming from, who is reached by my contents, and then the breakdown of number of people reached organically and the level of engagements for each content piece. So I know that, for example, an epic sunrise, which sounds obviously very obvious, like that beautiful pink sunrise is going to kind of break the internet. But like a more kind of gray, brown, we know that gray and brown doesn't work as much on social, and that's why you would never see me really taking any more photos when it's a gray sky. But again, that's across all industries and across all categories. So again, very important to look at your own analytics to be able to do a better job. Search. So here are the key questions. So understanding who is visiting your websites or your competitor sites, which pages are they visiting, and how long are they staying for, or about like, that stickiness, are they staying longer on the blog page than the product page? Yes, certainly. Where is the traffic coming from? What are the key drivers of traffic? What is the volume of search of your products and your services? And what are the key keywords? I mean, the keywords that you could use as well for your content. And for this, there are a bunch of tools that you can use. Some are free, some are you need to pay for. But what I wanted to show you is 2 of my favorite tools. The first one is SimilarWeb. I don't have time right now to go through this with you, but what I wanted to show you here is this is very much a website that analyze all the key competitors, can analyze, for any key competitors or any brands that you want to kind of understand a bit deeper what's going on for them. And again, bear in mind that I don't have access to buyers' websites. I just look at like what was going on. And then what I can see is obviously kind of, I can see the number of total visits. I can see who is coming from Australia. And if you scroll underneath, you can see, like the estimated, what are the main traffic sources, get an understanding of like the audience interests, getting kind of, where the traffic is going, the outbound traffic as well. So all those things, and that's incredible, and it's free. The only caveat here is if you use the free version, you need to get, this website needs to get to at least 12,000 visits per month to be able to bring some data. And that's why I use Bayer again, just because that was the only website I could see in the attendance that was receiving more than 12,000. And again, incredible resource to bookmark, SimilarWeb. So you can imagine what you can see from your competitors. You can understand what they're buying in terms of keywords as well. So you can literally see how you can, compete with them as well. And then finally, the final tool, which I love, that's probably my favorite tool. It's called Answer the Public, and it's free. So it is very much, so what Answer the Public does, it aggregates all the key search questions, search queries that are put into Google and Bing about a specific topics of interest. For that specific example, I use Detto because I think Rachel from RB is here in the attendance. And I just wanted to kind of look at what was going on. So if you type Detto, this is all the key questions are asked online. So you can see here is like, how is Detto made? Why is Detto killed? Why Detto kills like 99.9% of germs? Are Detto wipes toxic? How much alcohol is there in Detto? How to pronounce Detto? All those different kind of queries that are asked online, which I love to say it's kind of almost your content strategy on a silver platter. If you answer every single one of those questions into an FAQ sections or into a blog article or anything on your website, the likelihood for people to land on your website will be obviously greater. So again, always think about this. Answer the Public is a very amazing tool. And again, you are capped. If you use the free version, I think you are capped to 2 queries per day per IP address. If you've got a VPN, you can tweak this, or you just wait the next day and you can do it. Otherwise, you pay for it. I think it's pretty cheap. That's pretty much the end of the first sections about research. So once again, you've learned all those things, you've got a much deeper understanding of what's going on about your audience, about your competitors, about your category as well. What I'm going to cover now is very much like all the processes and tips and all the things that I'm covering when I work on the strategies. So as I said, you've got, what's going on, why you are in business, your brand and approaches, what your audience is, what they like, what they engage with, how they behave, your competitors. So it's very much like kind of, that showtime. So it's very much like it's super simple. You just need to find that middle ground between to make everyone happy. So which we call the unique value proposition. And the unique value proposition is basically going to dictate everything. So when I say everything is like from the type of content that you create, the platforms that you need to be on, the way you buy your media, to even the activations and campaigns that you are going to do throughout the year. So again, that's very much that kind of strap line, that strategy that underpins everything. And within the strategy, you've got multiple things to consider. There's the positioning. Obviously, you want to kind of get a clear position in the market. There's no point in being just the same as your competitors. It is very important to craft that positioning to make sure that you are kind of super clear on what's going on. How are you going to act? And that's going to kind of dictate how you're going to act compared to your competitors. Then there's the content pillars. Those are the key content buckets that where all your content will sit underneath. So I usually like to say 3 to 4 is a good mix. And you can talk about educations, you can be about inspiration, it could be about promotions, it can be about anything. Obviously, make the titles a bit smarter and a bit more exciting, but that's kind of the type of things I'm talking about. Then the visuals, the tone of voice. Tone of voice. Obviously, here it's like having a clear tone of voice is very important as well. So you want to be appearing on the community to be a friendly person, a friendly voice, an expert, supportive. If it's easier, you pick the tone of a celebrity, and you kind of and then you basically how would this person talk? How would they react? Like for the likes of a lot of brands I've worked with in the past, and one recently in the automotive industry, we basically discussed that like the voice needed to be someone iconic, an Australian iconic actor, and so we kind of everything that we do is like in the mindsets that this is that person talking on behalf of the brand, even though that person might be a woman that is part of the team and has got nothing to do with that actor. So again, very important to have that clear tone of voice, so everyone is clear around the business of who you are. And visual style, again, really important to pick a style and stay consistent. I think one thing that you will see in a few slides is having that consistent look and feel is very important. You need the brands to be recognizable quite quickly, especially when people scroll through their feeds. You need to quite quickly for people to recognize your brand, and that's very, very important. You've got amazing image banks now. There's one called Unsplash. I don't know if you've heard of this. It's free of use. And you can use it for pretty much any social post, anything. You don't even need to credit. I mean, it's kind to credit the photographers, but you don't even need to do it. There's pexels.com as well. And all those tools are free, so you don't even need to shoot anymore. You could literally utilize just image bank, but they're a bit less boring than the typical iStock image. And then content types, again, as I said before, it is quite important to also look at how can you use a variety of content types. So like from videos, Instagram is pushing videos. So right now, if all your strategy is static posts, change this right away and do reels. All they want to do is push the reels. For example, as of yesterday, IGTV is now no more. It's going to be called Instagram videos, and will combine feed videos as well as Instagram videos under the umbrella Instagram videos. Again, it's a push for Instagram to fight against TikTok and YouTube. Then use infographics, images, use other things on other social channels as well. Then there's the content pyramid. So it is very important to map out what your content is going to look like. What is your content strategy mapped out on the page? What are kind of, and that's the content pyramid is actually something that's been created by YouTube, where they basically identify there are 3 types of content. There is the hero content, which is those large-scale projects, those big things that will be seen by the masses, very resource heavy. It will take a while. You might be able to drop 2 hero contents per year, but this hero content will be seen by hundreds of thousands of people. Then there's the hub content, which is that regular, timely kind of content series that every month, every quarter you drop, and that's kind of again very important to kind of map out this. What is it going to look like? Is that going to be based on the new product launch, on the new NPDs, or anything like this? And then this is a content series, or it could be an educational post about like your founder or your CEO or whoever talking regularly, or multiple employees talking about what it is to work at your business. And then there's the hygiene. The hygiene is very much like kind of that, product websites, the product catalogs, the brochure, everything that will basically is very stock standard. You will not have a business without that specific hygiene content. So again, very important to map out this. Try to do this on a quarterly basis, or even on a yearly basis or annual basis. Is like, what are those key goals, and where could you kind of rank the contents based on this content pyramid? And then there's that content framework that that's the way we craft content at Red. That's very much like kind of all about driving value. So, You want kind of content that your followers can't get anywhere else. There's no point in ripping off what your competitors are doing. It is very important to kind of get that value exchange and get that value specific to your business. Being relevant as well. We all know how to kind of break the internet, put a cat, a kitten, a puppy, and a baby, and you would break the internet. But if it's got nothing to do with your business, it's obviously completely irrelevant. And that's, a lot of businesses would have done this in the past. I mean, you don't see as many now, but which is great. But again, you want to have like content that makes sense to your followers and your brand. No point in putting stuff that are going to work, but that's got nothing to do with your business. And then talkability. Again, you need to measure yourself against shares and comments. A like is too simple. You can even buy for a like. So there's no point in kind of measuring yourself. Measure yourself in the simplest forms into shares and comments. And this is obviously what you want to always aim for in social space. You want to start those conversations. And then there are the 6 questions of digital content. Again, it's getting a bit more deep, but those are the key questions that every single social media manager at Red I've got, at their desk or in the back of their mind in terms of the way we create content. So it's like kind of, it is a bit of science behind. Is that you want to know who is that for? You want to know why you are posting this, having a clear CTA, having a clear call to actions, understanding what's the value of that post. What are you expecting the audience to do? It is very important. So what do you want to achieve? When am I posting this as well? Are you kind of utilizing the most, the best time to post it? Again, organic reach is pretty much dead, so I wouldn't necessarily bank on this, but it is important to know when is a good time to post regardless. And sometimes it can make sense based on your kind of, business model. I used to work with a shopping center, and what we were doing is obviously we were pushing posts around lunchtime, early in the morning, but then after 6 p.m. was not necessarily making sense when the shopping center was closed. And all those things that you need to kind of think about. And it was very much organic and relying a lot on the organic, but it is important to consider still. And then where am I posting this? Am I posting this on the right channels? Is that optimized? Are you using the right specs for it? Are you putting another landscape photo on Instagram? While obviously everything should be square or 4x5. So again, everything changes quite rapidly. So you need to get your head on around what's going on and how you maximize the estate of a phone, for example. So 4x5 is basically the rule of thumbs now. You want that photos to be more vertical instead of horizontal, or at the bare minimum square instead of horizontal, because it takes more of the estates of your phone. And how else can you say this? Can you say this in a better way? Can you fine-tune that craft, that copy to make it better? Again, very important to look at this as well. And what I love to use as the very basic filter is like, why would I care? Why would I share? There's no point in pumping content online. There's enough crap out there. If you don't have a reasons for, for people to engage, or even a reason for people to kind of even like this post or engage with that post, no point. No one is expecting that content anyway. So it's for you to kind of make sure that, you capitalize on that content, because again, it will damage your reach if your content performs badly. If you post something that performs badly, the next post will get a smaller reach. So again, think about this. No point in pleasing all the various stakeholders in your business if they want to push something that is ugly and will not work online, if it's just to please them, because if it's not going to work, it's going to impact the rest of your metrics. Content best practice. So this is very much, as I say, important to have that consistent look and feel. So this is, there are multiple examples here, Nivea, Vegemite, and Kit Kat. So again, as you can see here, there is a clear look and feel, the blue, the yellow, and the red. It's as simple as like brand colors, but it could be also in terms of the fonts. It could be in terms of the way you utilize kind of, talents, the products, and all this. So it really kind of, the idea is being automatically, like that thumb stopping, automatically recognizable assets. That's what you always want to aim for. In terms of type of content, so this is more for a corporate than individual brand than for B2C per se, but at the same time, it's very similar in the space. You know, like this is what's working in the pharma and healthcare space. This is kind of a snapshot of something that we've done an audit for our clients of us. And what you see here is that, you know, you need the content to attract attention. I mean, that sounds very basics. You know, long form copy tends to work well, especially on LinkedIn. So because people want to understand a bit more what's going on. Employee focus, especially if you're in the B2B space, is a massive thing. Like, you know, you want to kind of raise the profile of your employees. Employee advocacy is a tactic or a marketing channels that is largely untapped, while it only takes on average 10% of your marketing spend. So again, think about employees, think about how you can utilize employees to amplify the post that you put at the brand level. Sometimes they might be a better vehicle. They might be better at amplifying the post or even posting the post in the first instance than your brand, because they will get much better tractions than any of your businesses. I think that personal touch and emotions, obviously, it's very kind of clear. Educational posts, what I love to call edutaining. So it's all about driving education and entertainment. Ultimately, you want this. You want people to kind of learn something while obviously being entertained. So don't put it in a dry, don't post the content in a dry way. Just find an interesting and intelligent way of posting something that could be seen dry. And then behind the scenes, people crave for behind the scenes. That's what Instagram was made for. You know, that's what Instagram stories are for. That's what like Snapchats was so popularized, just like that behind the scenes, that thing that will probably never get to the grid, that you know, ephemeral content that after 24 hours is going to die. But that thing about like kind of sharing what's the behind the scenes and how it is to work for that organization will drive some traction. So that's the type of content. In terms of tone of voice, as I said before, very important to have that consistent tone of voice. Humor is always a good thing. I mean, KitKat is very good. Woolies, amazing, best in class in terms of like the way they do content. Embrace the unexpected as well. Kind of have fun with the audience. Try to kind of jump on stuff, jump on conversations. Try to see where you can learn from, and then how it's going to impact the rest of your content strategies as well. Again, it's all about being fluid and listening to what's going on in your space. Community engagement, again, very important. Like the worst thing that you see around every single brand or every single is that when people post something and then they feel like this is the end of the story, we don't need, you know, like the post is live now, that's it, I can walk away, my job is done. No. It actually starts when you start posting. When that post is going live, this is when social starts. It's like that conversations. And as I always say, it's like the first 60 minutes, it's the golden hour. So the first 60 minutes are crucial. If you don't get any comments, likes, shares, whatever it is, any social engagement, I can tell you that your content is going to perform badly. However, if you've got that massive traction around that post, automatically all the platforms, all the algorithms are going to favor your content, because the platforms will see that it is of use, it is of relevance for the audience. And again, like community engagement, you can turn negative experiences into a positive way and get appraisal from angry customers. This is an old example from Woolies, but Woolies does this every day. Airlines does this every day. Telcos does this every day. I used to work with a telco. I can tell you, we were bombarded with like negative comments. Everything was about negative comments. And it was all about how you could kind of alleviate those negative comments and how you could do a better job, or how could you drive that value so that people were like, okay, your products are shit, but you are offering me a good customer service at least. Importance of content calendars as well. So it is very important to map out your content. Obviously and it could be in an Excel spreadsheet, in a Google spreadsheet, whatever it is very important to kind of map out what's that content going to look like, and how is it going to look like, even how the grid will look like when you put them all together one after the other. So that obviously ensures that the content strategy is respected, that you hit all those different content buckets, content pillars, to ensure that the content matches the message, to be clear, organized, and prepared. And then obviously, especially in the pharma and healthcare space, I would say to ensure that sign-offs of all relevant stakeholders, like the reg, so is that like so is that medical, regulatory, and medical reg, hang on, what's the last one? And oh god, but yeah, when we work with like pharma and we do work with a fair bit of like kind of pharma clients, we know that there is a lead time of 2 weeks before getting signed off on some of the content that we are going to post. So again, very important for everyone to be across and get those sign-offs internally. But again, another thing as well to look at is how you can be topical. The whole point of social, and if you want to literally break the internet, is all about being topical and hijacking news. So what I wanted to show you is a cool example. Again, it's a bit old, but I just love that example so much that and love the video as well. So I'm just going to share this video now.
In the spring of 2017, a famous fashion brand launched this bag, which, no offense, looked a lot like this bag. The resemblance was striking. We were flattered and decided to flirt back with a quick response. By a fashion photographer, obviously. We created it in multiple formats, highlighting the qualities of our bag and how to make sure you had an original, just in case people were to confuse the two. And the world went nuts. People even copied our ad. Everyone wrote about it, from tech to fashion, all the way to mainstream media across the globe. Here are some of our favorites. Nice one. All in all, it went pretty well. Considering we had no media budget. So that's how a fashion bag and one simple idea gave us the opportunity to tell our story. That design, function, and quality should not just be for the few.
So yeah, amazing example, one heaps of Cannes Lions, and like just a very good way of looking at how you can tap into like topical news and hijacking. When I used to work on Netflix, that was all we were doing. Like we had like kind of that thing every morning where we would hang out with the editorial team, and then we'll be looking at what was going on in Reddit, what was going on in the press, what was going on in the politics, and see how we could kind of literally kind of hijack the news and kind of put something that was kind of vaguely related to this. There's another example which I love as well. It's like when KFC in UK ran out of chicken, and they put that full page ad with that famous buckets with the FCK, fuck, we ran out of chicken. And that was like an amazing thing. They literally turned something, a negative experience into a positive experience, and everyone loved that thing. So again, being a bit more topical will always help your brand. Now going into the ecosystem strategy, that part could literally be an extra 30 minutes, but I'm not going to cover this in details. I'm just going to cover this in literally 2 slides. The first slide is very much the role of digital platforms in brief. So again, as I said before, the core platforms of your ecosystem should be and will always be your blogs and your websites. You need to dedicate all your attention and time to those, because this is kind of not, like this is very important. This is not subject to any algorithm, so look after them. Then there's the newsletter. Obviously, building your database, then you can use that database to kind of send newsletters, relevant thing. It's free usually. I mean, of course, you can use an amazing CRM platforms like Salesforce, but then if you use MailChimp, if you use Campaign Monitor, there are some free version where you can send directly emails to your audience for free. Facebook, all about the targeted reach and traffic drivers to sites. Again, the beauty of Facebook, as well as Instagram, as well as pretty much all social platforms, is the utilizing paid. Utilizing paid, you can pretty much target anyone that you want. Anyone that visited your website, I will cover this in a minute, but like all those things. Instagram, very much like kind of more aspirational view and behind the scenes. Again, Instagram is pushing the video. So think about how you could turn some of your static images into videos. Think about how your content strategy is going to be impacted by this as well. Twitter, love those guys. I really kind of love those guys here in Australia. And, I know I've worked with them in the past. The thing is that Twitter is pretty underutilized in Australia compared to Europe and Europe and US. It is a very much more platforms than it is elsewhere, but it is great if tapping into the media, journalist, influencer relationship. But I wouldn't necessarily kind of bank on Twitter as being a big thing here in Australia. LinkedIn, obviously amazing for B2B relationship, amazing for thought leadership, amazing to find another job. But like so many, I'm obsessed by LinkedIn. I mean, I spend all my social time on LinkedIn. I actually read my news on LinkedIn. I do everything on LinkedIn. I rarely open a newspaper or anything, but however, I will be consuming all my news within LinkedIn. It's all about being connected. It's all about following the right people. It's all about interacting with the right people as well, following specific hashtags as well that are relevant to your industry. TikTok, again, pretty big fan of TikTok. I've not ever posted any TikTok myself, but I love TikTok. It is an amazing kind of platforms, rich in creativity, where you see kind of trends that are about to break the internet afterwards directly on TikTok. No wonder why you've got so many songs that cracked first on TikTok before being even popular on Spotify. So TikTok is an amazing platform that I strongly encourage you all to at least have a watch, because it's highly entertaining and you will be kind of spending a lot of time on it. And then YouTube. So obviously, again, very important to always keep in mind that YouTube belongs to Google. And therefore, if you do post some video content, always great to look at YouTube as being the host of this content, because ultimately those guys will be pushing this when you in the search query. Why Vimeo, we were actually talking about this yesterday with colleagues. Vimeo is better looking, of course, but realistically, in terms of SEO, it doesn't help it doesn't help your brand at all. So that's the role of digital and social platforms. But what I wanted to also do is the ecosystem selection criteria. And why did I wanted to create that slide is just because over the years, I've had so many clients coming to me saying, yes, so we've got a Pinterest, we've got a Twitter, and we've got a YouTube, and then we've got this, but yeah, we've not been posting since 2017, and it's been bought out, and the employee resigned, and he's not there, and I've got that dormant thing. So that's the worst that you can do. If you are dormant on the channel, kill it. Like, no point in leaving it online. There's no point. I literally don't see any purpose except probably missing a lot of conversation. So the reason why I put that selections together is very much for people to think about this before creating any new social channels. The first one is like, is there a clear purpose for the channel? Very important to understand what's the purpose of that specific channel. Is that just a ticking box exercise, or is that actually serving a purpose? Is the channel for a specific campaign or relevant all year long? Again, when I started in social, so I said 9, I think it's been 11 years I've been working in that space. But we were launching like Facebook pages for a campaign specific. We were like, I launched so many Facebook pages for, we are going to do a competition and we want people to win a trip to Hawaii, and we'll do that campaign, and we'll kill it afterwards, or we'll leave it online. All this is obviously completely out of date thinking. And I do feel like in the pharma space sometimes, and I don't want to point to any of you guys, but sometimes it is still that mentality of like, we can't post on our corporate websites, we need to have a separate page. We can't, like all the regulations around, and like the medicine's code of conduct and what you can and can't do, all these kind of prevails you from doing I guess the most how can I say this politely, but sometimes I just feel like it's a bit outdated in terms of the thinking, because realistically what we want to do is like still push that message using your brand channels, but then using paid social, you can actually target only the relevant people or the relevant audience. Again, no offense taken, but it's just like all those conversations I'm having with existing clients or previous clients. Is the targeted audience on the channel? Again, no point in pushing something if your audience is not on it. Is there an articulated content strategy? Again, no point in pushing something on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and all that, and having the exact same content. You kind of need to kind of get that articulated content strategy that is different from one platform to another. Do we have sufficient resource to maintain the channel? Again, another big one. It takes time. It actually takes a lot of time to maintain a channel. Creating the sourcing the content, creating the content, looking after the community management, using paid. It is a job. It is an actual job. You can obviously kind of, outsource this to an agency. I'm not saying this to kind of, not at all. Sometimes it makes more sense for clients, like especially in the shopping centers area. Sometimes it makes more sense for them to look after their own channels or any other kind of, brands as well. It makes total sense, or split responsibility. We take care of the community management. Your team takes care of the customer service questions. So all those kind of, but it is very much like, it takes time. So always think about this as well. No point in creating something if you don't have the time. And then, is there an ongoing paid media support? Reach is dead. So if you don't have any paid media support, if you don't have a paid media budget, I would say don't even bother. Literally don't even bother. If you can't put like, a minimum, especially if it's a business, a minimum of like, let's say $500 a month at the bare minimum, then I wouldn't even think about launching a channel. There is literally no point. I know it sounds awful. I'm sure I'm breaking a few dreams here, but it is the reality. So I'd just rather be straight with you. Amplification. So this is almost the last section. So they are, as I say, organic amplification or organic reach is pretty much dead, but there are ways where you can kind of try to tweak the algorithm or try to kind of, maximize that organic reach. And the way you do it is, this is just a few suggestions to kind of achieve that success organically. So you do cross-pollinations of the content on the different platforms. So a blog article, how can it be shared on Facebook and newsletters? How can you kind of push this further? So really thinking about like all the different social platforms that you've got and the digital platforms, and how can they all serve a purpose to drive that reach. Internal newsletters and email to your employees. Again, employee advocacy is a big deal. That's in the past 24 months that at Red, we've had so many inquiries for like LinkedIn strategies, for how to tap into kind of, thought leaders and executive profiling, as well as like looking at employee advocacy as being a big channel. Again, usually on average, it only is 10% of the marketing spend, but it's largely untapped. I think it's a big deal. And I would literally kind of, pretty much like kind of advise any businesses to look after that. Curate and share content from other sources to build your network, or by that resharing of like, popular publications or popular influencers. Following and engaging with relevant influencers as well. Follow specific hashtags and engage with users' content. Again, what we call proactive engagement or community engagement, not only community management. It's not only about the inbound, it's also about the outbounds. How are you going to put your name out there? There's always an amazing campaign called, that was for, oh God, it was for melanoma cancer. I can't remember which I can't remember, but there was like that amazing Instagram. I would be able to share this with David and Brenda so they can share it with you, about like melanoma likes it. I don't know if you've seen that campaign, which was all about that fake Instagram profile called melanoma. And then when people were taking photos of themselves in the sun, we had melanoma liking it. Basically as a double tap, as well as like commenting on people's posts when they were out in the sun and enjoying a sun, a sun bath. Again, amazing campaign, and the whole campaign was relying on that community engagement. Run competitions to engage your audience and increase the reach of your messages as well. Competitions are certainly serving a purpose as long as the competition price is aligned with what your business stands for. Again, no points if you are in the pharma space to make people win a trip to Hawaii. There's no point because it's got nothing to do. However, if you give them a subscription, or if you give them a I don't know, a discount or a code or whatever it is, whatever you can do, obviously, while still following the TGA code and while still following the Medicines Code of Conduct and all those things. But getting that extra value that actually makes sense, I will actually serve your brand as well. And then post-user generated content. I always love to use the example of Tourism Australia. Tourism Australia, they love to call themselves the biggest social media team in the world. And the reason why they said is because they solely, and I mean, especially at the beginning, they solely rely on travelers' photos, on tourists, on people, on photographers locally that takes photos. And all their content was purely about curations. Now they started to kind of create content themselves, but at the beginning, it was all about the creation of content. So use the user-generated content, because ultimately those guys will be incentivized to share more content themselves with you, and then your brand would go to more people. Key paid media objectives. So we've covered the organic from a paid point of view. So you can maximize the reach of the content to the relevant audience, as I said before. So that's kind of what the beauty of social is all about. You can boost the brand awareness amongst the audience. You can grow your social footprints and database, which is exactly what you want to use it for, the database element. You can build that community engagement, so your content will be seen by more people. You can increase the traffic to their own channels as well. Again, that's kind of what you want to utilize paid social for as well. In terms of key paid media targeting, this is a very basic outlook of like what you can do on paid. But you can certainly do much better than this. But that's kind of, very broad. From a demographics point of view, you can target by location, by age, by gender, by languages. If you want to tap into all the Frenchies that lives in Bondi, and pretty much half of the population have the French in Australia. What are they? And you can do by interest. You can do by what people are searching for and what they're engaging with. In terms of custom audiences, so I don't know if you're too familiar with this. This is when you plug your email database into Facebook or into any social platforms, because now they all do this, and all when you map out whoever is in the database will see a match within the different social platforms, and then you will be able to push messages to those people on Facebook. But ultimately, that audience is very much the people that are already in your database. And what is even more interesting is what we call lookalike audiences. So it's very much reaching those new people that are likely to be interested in your business because they share the similar features, or not features, but the similar interests than the people that are already engaging with your business. So custom audiences, lookalikes are amazing. And then finally, obviously, retargeting. I mean, you've all seen that thing about, like, you go on the iconic Mr. Porter, Netta Porter, any retailers, you see that beautiful handbag, or you see that beautiful kind of beanie or whatever it is. And then you are like, too expensive. Let's go on Facebook, and, an hour, 2 hours, whatever it is. It can be 5 minutes after you go on Facebook, and then straight away you see that exact same beanie or that exact same handbag in it. The reason why retargeting is the most amazing way of targeting people is because you need to know that only 2% of web traffic actually converts the first time. So it is all about that reminder, it's all about like reminding people that they've left that cart open, or they've not been that they love this beanie. And then you can cap the frequency as well. If after 3 times that person would have seen that beanie in their feeds, they don't buy it, then you can drop this, and then it goes back to square one. But if you're not achieving viral success with all the things I've covered today, I just wanted to share a video with you.
A viral video, millions of views, millions in sales. What's their secret? What made them go viral? We did. Introducing Viral, the tool that guarantees you'll go viral. It's simple. Now you can pay for the clicks you need to make your video go viral. We have a vast network of professionals working day and night, constantly clicking on your videos. It began with our intern clicking program. But once we developed the IP propagator, we quickly expanded. Now we outsource to clickers all over the world. We've already expanded into South America, Indonesia, and India. But traditional clicking can only produce so many views. That's where we differentiate ourselves from the rest, providing outreach programs for the elderly.
Keep clicking.
In an average hour, I can click on 300 videos.
The knuckles, start getting sore, and you got to do stretch. I would do this. Oh, I heard a crack.
And our school clicking programs provide valuable learning to kids while giving you valuable clicks.
What's the sticker for?
Doing a good job clicking.
Making a good viral video used to take a lot of work. Now anyone can do it.
We're constantly working on innovative new ideas, helping people go viraler and viraler. And we also have a new app. It's called the CL app, so you can click on the go. Actually, Ian, you've got the clap on your unit, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. So we utilize the product here in the office as well. Once we bypassed the viewing process, our world opened up. Anywhere there's a button, we can be collecting clicks. Elevators, pin pads, whack-a-mole. A lot of people don't realize that they are clicking. For instance, the button at a crosswalk. When you hit that, you're helping videos to go viral. One day we won't need the viewer.
These days, views are everything. Don't underestimate what a viral video can do for your brand. Success, awards, what are you waiting for? Why hope it'll go viral when you can guarantee it with Viral?
Yeah, I mean, jokes aside, obviously never ever buy kind of, fake likes or followers, but I just found that video quite highly entertaining. But yeah, this is obviously the worst thing that you would be able to do for a business. So never do this, especially when, just don't do it. And to be honest, like that's what's been killed by Instagram a lot, is like all those fake bots and stuff. The last few slides is all about like the ongoing measuring and optimization. Again, very important to kind of define right at the beginning, what does that success look like, and on your customer journey, and how you're going to kind of monitor the performance of your digital efforts for you as well as against your competitors, because ultimately that's what you are competing against. A/B testing is obviously key for optimizing results, and I'm talking from an organic point of view as well as like from a paid point of view. Take control risk and track results. Again, social is all about taking those risks. If you are not willing to take risk, and when I say risk, it doesn't need to be extremely high sensitive risk. It could be just like, let's try a Reels, let's try a new Instagram video, let's try that new features. Because the reason why I'm saying this is because Instagram or any social platforms, the moment they release a new features, they want you to utilize those features. And if you utilize those features, you would actually get a bump into the reach of your content. So if there's something that you see, like stickers, for example, like the this and that, on Instagram stories, you would get a much bigger reach to your content if you use those stickers, doing those polls, doing all those things. LinkedIn is very annoying with those polls, by the way, but like this is what also they want you to utilize for whatever reasons. And you will get that exposed, you will get more reach. And then finally, stay up to date with digital news and trends. So this is kind of a very quick, and I put it very small as well. This is a type of reports that we put together for Toyota. And what you see here is like, I mean, what you can't read, but you can see is like a very kind of, I wouldn't say intense, but intensive kind of reports about like how we measure the success of our campaigns, how we look at like kind of, the paid strategy and what's been working, what's not, and learning throughout. And we do this on a weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annual basis. So this is how much reporting we do every year. And the reason why we do this is because, again, it's all about learning and tweaking the strategy and tweaking the way we approach content, the way we approach paid, the way we approach those things. And, like obviously Toyota is one example out of many. That's pretty much what we do with pretty much all clients, probably not to that same frequency, but very much like reporting on a monthly basis at least. In terms of key social and digital sources, I do feel like it is important to have like, always your finger on the pulse, like kind of making sure that, and that's what like I personally do. So every morning I receive around 40 newsletters, and I go through these quickly. I have to say I spend less time than I used to, or I go through my LinkedIn, and because I follow #social media, I follow LinkedIn, I follow whatever it is, then I can see what's going on, and I'm able to kind of get a good understanding of what's going on in the world of social, so I can tell the client, or I can tell the team, or we can talk as a team. By the way, it doesn't necessarily rely only on me. The reason why I'm telling you that Instagram kills IGTV yesterday is because I saw an article in TechCrunch that was served to me on my LinkedIn, and I can tell you this now, I didn't see it before. Again, those are kind of some of the best social and digital sources that I subscribe to. Strongly encourage you to do this. There are so many others, but those are kind of the top ones. So definitely I recommend you to subscribe to their newsletters. That's my last slides, key takeaways. So the first one, as you would have understood, social media is not free anymore. No paid social, no point in being on social. Very important to always have this at the back of your mind and sell this to the board, sell this to anyone within your organization. If you don't have any paid media, even if it's just for one post, ideally you want to amplify that post as well. Capitalize all your effort on your own platforms and database. I mentioned this before, blogs, websites, all those micro hub of content or email database is way more valuable. And look, I'm head of social at Red, so I should probably tell you the exact opposite because I'm not head of digital, but the reality, it is what it is. Like, you want to capitalize all your efforts on that own channels. Crack the why you do what you do. Again, very important to understand the purpose of your business, especially compared to your competitors, or even for the people to kind of rally behind. People buy into your brands as well as your products. You know, we love to talk within Havas about meaningful brands. Meaningful brands needs to serve three benefits. The functional, which is the very basics of like the products needs to work. Then there's the personal benefits, what these brands make me feel. And then there's also the collective benefits. What is these brands doing for the wider society that I want to kind of associate myself with? That's why the Patagonia of this world are amazing, because that's exactly great products, makes you feel good about wearing them. They're good clothes, they look great. Plus, from a collective point of view, they do all the good stuff for the world that you want to back them up. Thank You is another one. Amazing brand as well. That is only doing the right things as well. Identify the value exchange between your brand and your audience. I mentioned this before. Listen before you speak. No point in jumping on social without doing all the research and your due diligence. So very important to do this. Create valuable and relevant content that is worth sharing. Again, why do I care? Why do I share? Why would I care? Why would I share? Very much that's the basic filters that you need to ask yourself before posting anything. Use the power of paid media to reach the audience. And again, you can be so specific nowadays, which is amazing. Use the monitor your efforts on a regular basis, weekly, monthly. Stay up to date with digital news and trends. Subscribe to those newsletters. And then finally, success will come, but it will take time and efforts. So give more than you take. And this is it. I mean, this is the start of the Q&A. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I always share stuff in the social space. I'm very keen to be connected with any of you guys as well. Feel free to reach out if you've got any further questions, but like we can open right now for questions. Should I stop sharing my screen, David, or how do I?
Yeah, sure. Merci, Amaury. Magnifique. It was really an excellent session, so thank you for that. Apologies for Brenda, she had to step away. The energy went down in her suburbs, so you stuck with me. We'll jump straight into questions. Do you have any social media calendar to plan content according Australia hot topics, please?
Hang on, do I have, sorry, what did you say? Do I have any content calendar?
Social media calendar to plan for content according to Australian hot topics, please.
I mean, there's an amazing resource that David, I will share this with you as well. Same for the melanoma campaign. There's an amazing calendar of events done by Twitter. Every year they release that thing, which basically maps out every single kind of National Donuts Day and all those things. It's I'm sure you can find it easily. Twitter calendar 2021, and you will be able to see this. Then in terms of topical, like the whole thing is about like kind of being immersed into the news. I mean, like, again, talking about my time when I was working on Netflix, we were spending all our time in Reddit, because if it was about to burst or about to be a topic on Reddit, you knew he was going to go mainstream the next day. Literally everything was starting first on Reddit. Also watching news, also kind of getting your head around like what's going on LinkedIn. You can see what's popular. You can see what's popular on Facebook. You can see what's popular on Twitter. You've got like even some tools on Twitter that automatically tells you which content is working, what are the key trending hashtags. That's what I would do. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I think it does. I should probably just mention Raphael put something through the chat. So that Melanoma Likes Me for Australia, for Australian Melanoma Patients Association was what we were referring to earlier.
Yeah,
so,
that's the one. Yeah, perfect.
Next question is number of followers important. How would you answer a client that asked, how many followers can we get in X amount of time?
It's a very funny one. It is, I mean, not funny, but like it's always the question, to be honest. And I think there is that critical mass, which I've been kind of, I've had a conversation recently with a client where it's like all about that critical mass that you want to see that, like followers count go up. But realistically now you can't buy those followers anymore. You can't, there's no paid social anymore, because again, Facebook, Instagram recognize this. That's why also Instagram, killed that at some stage, they killed that number of likes, because they didn't want this to be a measure of success. Now going to a client and telling them this is not a thing anymore, it is always a bit like, what? I always thought it was a thing. And yes, of course, it is something that is a very difficult subject to have, very simple. But what you need to kind of probably tweak, you need to tweak the narrative about the reach, and the reach is way more important than any followers. So telling them, and that's what we've just done for our clients, which again, a board made of 25 old white men who've always been kind of buying TV ads, and for them it's tops, for them it's like impressions, and they were looking at that followers count saying, oh wow, we're only at 17,000, and it's like it's nothing and it's not growing. But then we literally we basically told them to look at the reach of the work that we were doing, at the impression that we were getting, at the traffic to website that we were getting, and automatically kind of they understood where we was. So now what we do is we do a dashboards, very simple dashboards, when you've got all those big vanity metrics, and yes, you might have the followers count, but we've been educating them over time to tell them that it didn't really matter, because realistically you are going to pay for those 17,000 anyway. And I think now it works, and now they understand it. But again, it is a tricky conversation. Having the critical mass is, getting to the 10,000 is always a great thing, but realistically, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter, unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess.
How do you determine the best metrics to track for a brand, and how would you analyze its success by industry benchmark?
That's a good question. Again, I think it all depends on your objectives. It really depends on what you want that brands to be. Is that raising awareness because it's largely unknown? Is that raising awareness means like kind of impressions, means reach, meaning kind of even a certain alliance with third parties, for example. That's why like influencer marketing has been such a big thing. Is you basically get that board equity. If that influencer endorsed me, then obviously that means that I'm a reputable business. So you build that kind of credibility and awareness. In terms of the metrics, again, like reach, impressions, traffic to sites, how long is the traffic staying? Is that actually kind of, what's the bounce back as well, kind of rate, looking at, are people buying ultimately your products? Do they actually like your products? Do they recommend this to their friends? Do they rate your products? And do they actually talk about this? Again, there's like so many things and it really depends from one client to another, and really depends from. The only thing I would say is too many times when we receive brief or when we work with clients is like, I want to build awareness, I want to build sales, I want to drive sales, I want to do this and I want to do that. You kind of need to be a bit more single-minded. What is the most important thing that you want to achieve out of that exercise, out of this strategy, out of that specific campaign? Is that just raise awareness? Yes, raise awareness will ultimately drive sales if your products are great, if people buy into your brands and all that. But ultimately, you kind of need to craft this with the clients. So there's not one framework looking like similar from one client to another. It's really kind of, almost that, like open all the suites of like tools and all the things that you can track and then looking at the objectives. I'm all up for the full attribution and kind of working with Google Analytics and being able to do everything, being able to see like what that traffic is going to drive and which traffic is the most valuable for your business as well.
Okay.
That's answering your question. I'm happy to have a separate conversation based on your actual kind of brand challenge. Very happy to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So feel free to again. I'm very happy to do this. No problem.
Yep. So I'll pass them off, or you can email Amaury direct. So what are you seeing as a general trend shift in demographics across social platforms? Approximate average age across platforms such as Facebook, Insta, and TikTok?
I mean, like the average age is obviously kind of rising across all social platforms. TikTok is not only, I put Gen Z just for being kind of, trying to be, it's quite specific, but TikTok is now being endorsed by a lot more than just Gen Z, like parents, mom bloggers that wants to be on TikTok. It is a much bigger thing, and it's across generations. Like like Facebook used to be, that's for the senior market, for the 50 plus, but it's not anymore the case. Like, I mean, it is the case, sorry, but it is also on Instagram. Like everyone is on Instagram nowadays. Like if you want to stay, so it is a constant kind of obviously first endorsed and being kind of I guess you've got more people joining early on, like kind of from a younger age, but then ultimately everyone is kind of, how can I say, overtaking. And, you see the demographics for across all social channels rising and growing in a way of age. So yeah, I guess it's always the same. And it's very, very much the same across all social platforms as well. Sorry, I don't know if it's answering your question, but I do feel it is, but yeah.
No, it's answered well. So we have a client who is firm on being across multiple channels that we don't feel suits them. Do you have any tips on how to navigate these sorts of conversations?
I think that's if you do the research, and that's why I think it's very important. That's why I always say, without the research, you can't have any informed conversations. I've got clients saying, hey, we've got a social strategy. We just want you to look after the content. I'm like, I'm not interested. I don't even want to work with you. Like literally, if you don't want me to do my due diligence and do all the things that will make that impact, because realistically, you can pump a strategy in no time. Like gut feel could be a strategy. However, if you do all those things that I've mentioned, like from an earn on, and you see that the audience is on it, you see that they are willing to engage about that category, willing to do this, then obviously you've got all those informed conversations saying, you know what? It makes total sense to be on that platforms. Again, there's that slide that I presented earlier about like kind of all those questions. If those guys don't have any paid social, paid money, or if they're not enough resources, or if they're not clear about like what's the strategy for that specific channel, there's no point. So it's being ruthless. I'm ruthless about this because I think it's too important to kind of have a good social presence. But even if you're only 2 channels, that's all right. That's fine. But do it well on 2 channels. You don't need to be on everything or channels unless you've got extensive kind of resources or extensive budgets, and you've got and there's a clear rationale for it. So I would say consolidate more than create.
Yeah.
What a catchphrase. Yeah. I should use that one next.
We've got you for another 6 minutes, and I've got to tell you, the questions are blowing up, Amaury, so I'll keep them coming. When I upload Reels, I noticed I get more likes from non-followers than my followers. Should I continue to upload at a time to get engagement from a non-follower and gain exposure, or try to upload at a time when I'm getting more engagement from my followers?
Again, all depends on your business objectives, but I would say usually getting broader reach beyond your existing follower base. I think that's what I would always aim for. You ultimately want to be seen in, to more people. You want the content to be seen to more people than your existing fan base or your existing kind of, clients. So I would say, like, yeah, do what you do now. And then if there's ways of engaging your current followers by, within data, within newsletters or within other platforms, then utilize this as well.
Yeah. We're going to crash the net with all these questions. Do you have any advice for managing multiple independent retailer social media pages? Example, franchise model with each brand having their own Facebook pages. The 500 per month you mentioned wouldn't be feasible for a national perspective, and one brand managed page isn't an option. Would a campaign approach be the best approach?
So it's a very good question, and I've got something very similar with Toyota. So Toyota is an existing client, is a client of mine here now, but I've worked in the past as well with other retailers. There's merit in having a brand page, like kind of owned by the brand, like Toyota AU Australia is the name of the page. But then there's also the multiple dealerships, because the multiple dealerships, as long as you provide them with the content that is reflective of the brand guidelines, that is aligned with like what you want to be known, then that's great. Of course, you also need to understand that some of those guys might go rogue and then start posting stuff that are not really following the guidelines. But I think it all depends on how tight are your guidelines and how this franchise model is working. But it does make sense, especially like, let's say in a dealership in Wagga Wagga, makes sense to have their own social, because they can do specific offers for people. They can do specific posts about this. While obviously from the brand point of view, we will never push an offer from Wagga Wagga on our own social channels. Definitely not organically. We might post it. From a paid point of view, but definitely not organically. So I would say it really depends on how tight are your guidelines. But like even with the pharmacy network, we were trying to kind of get to that same thing, which is get that page and get some rules and regulations about social media guidelines, about what they are allowed to do and what not. If you can also get approval for every single content that is going to be pushed, that's probably even better.
Yeah. I've never heard somebody say Wagga Wagga so cool. So
I did it on purpose because I just find these names so...
Yeah. One more question. Has COVID increased the age demographic of social where the 50 plus
connection?
Yeah, connection, yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Using social, yeah, 50 plus using social, sorry.
Yeah, definitely. And across all social channels, like LinkedIn has seen a 50% year-on-year increase since March last year when COVID hits, like every single social platforms. And that's why I've been so busy. I hate being using the word busy, just because everyone wants some social and digital, literally everyone, like, and like everyone spend more time on those platforms. People, like are bored at home, watching more Netflix, checking more Instagram than ever before, just because that sense of connection, sense of entertainment. So yes, is the short answer. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
And
okay, so
the last thing I would say.
Sorry.
There you go. I was going to say, for the 50 plus audience, I used to work with a hearing aids company, and I can tell you that they are extremely engaged online. Extremely. We receive like the highest number of comments every single time that we were posting about it. So it's a very engaged community that you've got here.
Yeah. So I've just got the poll up. Brenda mentioned at the start of the webinar that we will share the video. So Amaury's kindly agreed to share that. So I'll email that out to everyone after the webinar. Just to mention, we've also got a webinar coming up on the 21st of October with Mike Harley presenting. How healthy is your client agency relationship? Amauray's registered for it, so by all means get in there and register for it. Everybody loved the session according to the feedback there, Amaury, so that's fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today. It was such a good webinar, and we had 80 people register for the event. You're very well liked. We're only a small industry, so that's great attendance. And the amount of questions really demonstrates how much they value your opinions. So thank you so much. We're honoured to have you today, and with any luck, we can have you back again sometime.
Yeah, I've got plenty of others. I've got another one for you. I will.
All right. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you very much, Amaury. Goodbye to everybody, and we'll see you at the next webinar.